Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today, Steal My Legos for Your Classroom? You'll Be Sorry. After that, Am I the jerk for helping my son avoid his family after his wife cheated? And after that, I'm selling a family heirloom to pay for my destination wedding. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to steal anyone's Legos. I always preferred Connects, to be honest. So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Steal my Legos for your classroom? You'll be sorry. I had 8 large storage totes of Legos when I left home for college. Besides a few family heirlooms, I told them the only thing I wanted were my Legos. They could get rid of anything else. I even offered to come pick them up and store them with me while I was in college, so they weren't a burden. My mom said it was fine, she would keep them stored. Great. Fast forward probably 12-ish years, and I've got a 5-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter who are quickly approaching Lego age. My wife and I are buying a home, and it will have a decent-sized area upstairs above the garage that we intend to turn into the playroom. I was talking to my wife about my plans. I wanted to put in padded flooring, build a fort-style structure in one corner, maybe build into the crawl space, a tunnel-type system or something, and I wanted to make an area that would be dedicated to the Legos. My wife seemed a little cagey about the plans. It would cost a bit of money, set our expectations down, etc. I obviously didn't plan on anything happening overnight. A few weeks later, and we're getting ready to head to Easter at my mom's house. I tell my wife I want to take our truck as I planned on grabbing the Legos from her place and bringing them home, and my wife gets a little cagey again. I sense that she knows something, and she finally admits it. My mom took the Legos to her classroom. My mom's a middle school teacher, 6th to 8th grades, special education in our town, and my wife is an assistant in her classroom. I guess several years ago, my mom took the Legos to the classroom for the kids to play with. I told my wife I would just get the Legos from the class at the end of the school year. However, my wife thinks I should just let it go. Some of the kids really love the Legos, and they would have a hard time if they came in after a summer away, which is already pretty hard, change and whatnot, to find out that the Legos are gone. We talked about potentially buying some Legos from Craigslist for the kids to use, but I definitely wanted my Legos back. A lot of them tend to be older. Tons were my dad's Legos when he was growing up, so I definitely want those ones. At Easter, my sister got roped into the discussion with my wife and she agreed with my wife. While we both enjoyed the Legos a lot as kids, I would be a jerk if I took my Legos back from the classroom. They both suggested starting a new collection for our kids so they can love and enjoy these ones as they grow up. But I just don't agree. Part of the reason why they were so special to me was because they were handed down to me and I got to add to them. I was hoping to be able to do that here. Would I be the jerk if I took my Legos back at the end of the year? Not the jerk. Your mom could have asked you first. Those were Legos started by your dad, so there's a sentimental value, and that's something you want to share with your kids, so it's only fair you take the Legos back. I honestly don't get these jerk parents who don't think their kids would want to pass on favorite toys to their own kids, their grandkids, one day. Not the jerk. Your mom and your sneaky wife can buy replacement Legos on Craigslist for her students, or ask the students' parents to each contribute a bunch of Lego, or both. They both were dishonest. They're your Legos, and you made it clear you wanted to keep them. Very clear. Zero wrong with wanting to keep something that was yours as a kid. Take all the Legos back at the end of the year. Inform your mom and your wife now so they can start looking for whatever replacements they need. Am I the jerk for helping my son avoid his family after his wife cheated? I don't really feel great about throwing this up on the internet, but everyone's upset with me, so this is what I've got. My son and his wife have been together for 6 years, and they have a 4-year-old daughter. They've had their problems every once in a while, but to me, it seemed like they always worked through it. I know he absolutely loves her, and I thought they were very close. But 3 days ago, my son came to my door at 10 at night, drunk, sick, and in complete tears. I guess she had been cheating on him for some time, and during an argument, she finally admitted it. He just fell apart. He could hardly breathe right. I cleaned him up and put him in bed, and that's about where he's been since. He looks sick, he won't eat. I've never seen him so upset. His wife and her family were calling us both repeatedly, but we just didn't deal with it at first. He was devastated. I wanted him to have a moment to gather himself. This morning, I bit the bullet and answered her call. She was angry he had walked out and left her with their daughter and said she just wanted to talk about this like adults. I told her that she could talk to him when he chose to contact her and that I think he'd want to work something out, but she needed to give him some space. She got more upset and I told her I wouldn't talk if she was gonna throw a fit, so she hung up. I don't know what she told her family, but I've since gotten calls from her mom begging me not to let him leave her and their daughter. Her sister called to go off on me for protecting a deadbeat father. They're all freaking out. He isn't abandoning his family. His life has been turned on its head, and I want him to have some time to find his feet. It's just been 3 days. It's not like he's run away. But now everyone's angry at me for letting my son leave his daughter, which he absolutely adores his daughter. He'd never just up and leave. So am I the jerk for letting him stay with me to get away from his family? I know it leaves his wife in a tight spot, but it's been 3 days and she hardly works part-time. It's not like he's left her with an impossible task, and I absolutely intend to have my son deal with this, but I just can't see him feel like this, and I don't think he could have any meaningful conversation this way. What should I do? I'm not trying to let him hide from his responsibilities, but he's hurting and he needs time to breathe. Some additions for clarity. Of course, we've discussed the possibility that his daughter might not be biologically his, but he doesn't plan to abandon her regardless. He loves his daughter and would, despite anything. And as far as if her family knows the full story, I have no clue. I haven't even tried talking with them yet. Not the jerk. He isn't opting out on being a father. He's taking the time he needs to process information. He needs to get his crap together quick and go be a father again. He needs to divorce her, collect evidence, hire a lawyer, and get a DNA test done on his daughter. His wife has been cheating for some time. I would definitely double check. That's up to the dad. He doesn't have to do that. He could be fine with not knowing this part if he loves his daughter as is, and knowing would only change things for the negative. If he's able to put what he knows aside and not be plagued by the thought, what a saint. People have done this forever before DNA tests existed. Sometimes not knowing is the better choice. It's not up to anyone else to decide but the dad. You raise and love the kid for 4 years, and you know for sure that that's your kid. The DNA test can only tell you if they have your DNA. 4 years of being a parent, and you already know they're your kid. Not the jerk. I know I'll get downvoted for this, but I feel it needs to be said. If the kid turns out to not actually be his, he should not be obligated to pay child support to make up for his wife's cheating and another man's burden. It's sad how so many of you are claiming he should skip the DNA test and just provide for the kid no matter what. Like, no wonder there are so many wives who end up cheating, having kids with other men, then still expect their husbands to financially support their kids. Most of you crazies here are claiming this is what should happen and what would be the right thing for OP to do. Holy entitlement, Batman. I'm selling a family heirloom to pay for my destination wedding. My fiance, 38 female, and I, 39 male, are planning to get married this summer. We both want to have quite a lavish wedding at a winery in another state. The two of us agreed that it's the most important occasion in our lives, so we should make it as memorable as possible. We both have stable jobs and a good amount of savings, but it's not quite enough for the, admittedly ambitious, plans we have in our heads. My father passed in January, and in his will, he left me a very valuable, think 5 figures, family heirloom. I'm not much for big family traditions, so although it's a nice thing to have, I'm not massively attached to it. I have plenty of other good memories of my father, and I don't need a fancy heirloom to remember him by. My brother, who's 34, however, is a huge history nerd and is really attached to it. He was very upset by my father's decision in the will. The reason it went to me and not to him is that this has been traditionally passed down to firstborn sons. My fiance and I don't plan to have any kids, and I think he assumed, therefore, that he, or his kids, would be in line to get it if I were to pass away. After some discussion, my wife-to-be and I decided that we would like to sell this heirloom to pay for our wedding. My brother, who is also my best man, was furious when he found out and said he wanted nothing to do with the wedding anymore. He thinks my wife-to-be and I are behaving like spoiled brats. In addition, he's convinced my uncle and cousins not to come to the wedding either. With our parents having passed, this means that virtually none of my family will attend the wedding, which I'm really upset about. I think that since I legally inherited the heirloom, I can do what I want with it. I think he's just upset because I ruined his expectations of one day inheriting it. But since my uncle and cousins agree with him enough that they are not coming to the wedding, I'm not so sure I'm in the right. Am I the jerk? Technically, you can sell it because it's yours, but you're the jerk for caring more about a ridiculously lavish wedding that will break the bank than you do for your relationship with your brother or your dad's tradition. If your dad had known that you were going to sell it, he would have left it to your brother. I hope your lavish wedding is worth it to you. You're the jerk. If you sell the item, don't be surprised if it ruins your relationship with your brother forever. All for what? So you can brag about your wedding to friends while looking at pictures that don't include anyone on your side of the family? You're the jerk. Legally being able to do something doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. I doubt your dad would have given it to you if he knew you were going to sell it like it was nothing. Your brother didn't convince anyone to be mad at you or to not go. I bet he just told them, and they made those decisions mostly on their own. You probably should have thought about all of that before making such a selfish, self-centered decision. Not the jerk. Sorry, I don't get the whole family heirloom is the most important object in the entire world kind of thinking everyone has. If it's not something you're going to use or want to keep, get rid of it. Maybe I'm a sociopath, but last I checked, you're allowed to do what you want with your own property. Last I checked, you're allowed to spend your money how you want. Could you have offered to sell it to your brother or uncle? Sure. Would all the same people be calling you a jerk anyway for not just graciously giving away a 5-figure inheritance? Absolutely. Personally, I think anyone who feels entitled to what your father left for you is selfish and greedy. I know I'm going to get crucified for this take, but I really don't mind considering my mental image of everyone who will downvote this is of them divvying up their parents' assets while they're not in the ground yet. Not the jerk. Entitled house cleaner brings her kids and her kids trashed my house. Gotta put this out here. Most absurd entitled parent situation I've personally encountered. My husband and I looked to hire a local husband and wife small business to clean and do our maintenance projects on our house before our baby comes in a few weeks. They came by tonight to take a look at the projects and, surprise, brought their 3 elementary-aged kids. No biggie, I thought. Not ideal, but I like kids, and I like the idea of our home being a welcoming place for them. We'll let it go. We opened the door, and the kids scattered. All 3 of them took off screaming in different directions with their shoes on. 1 ended up in my room, and 2 on different ends of the living room, where they all 3 started pulling my daughter's carefully organized, orderly toys off the shelves at an extremely rapid pace. "Well, they sure made themselves at home," the mom beamed. "They sure love your house." I tried to orient the parents quickly so they would leave ASAP, and the oldest kid noticed our loft, which is our playroom and library, and is also carefully organized and decorated with love with various handcrafted elements, and they all raced upstairs. We have 4 kids of our own, but managed to mostly keep things orderly. Each toy has a place. We have some small and breakable pieces from my and my husband's childhood. All the books are shelved alphabetically in categories. All 3 kids started shrieking at the sight of the room. I was trying to wrap up discussion with the mom. Then the stomping started and the clanging. Sounded like jumping off furniture. I paused for the mom to say something, but she didn't even bat an eyelash. Then came a crash that could only have come from furniture falling over. Mom again didn't so much as comment. My husband ran upstairs alarmed. The youngest one, 4 maybe, then raced down needing to go to the bathroom urgently. 3 of our 4 bathrooms need service, which is why we were hiring these people. So the only bathroom available was our master bathroom, where we have chicks in an incubator. As I showed the kid where to go, she got distracted by the chicks and screamed to the older kids upstairs to come and see now. So the older 2 came barreling and yelling, shoes on, through my room and bathroom, and the small one didn't quite make it to the bathroom in time. This all happened in like 15 minutes. I thought we'd quickly be introducing the adult contractors to the projects and negotiating pay. This was bizarre and horrible, I thought, but we'll just have them do the job tomorrow and not work with them again. But then, 2 of the kids started to tantrum when it was time for them to leave, notably without putting away a single toy they had disassembled or strewn about. Mom says, "It's okay. We'll be back so you can play more with them tomorrow." What? She was expecting to bring the kids and leave them unsupervised in my house? Or maybe she expected me to provide childcare while she performed tasks clearly unsafe for kids to be closed off in rooms for 7 hours. Of course, we're canceling. I'm almost too shocked to even be upset. I just checked upstairs and found a shelf of books partially toppled. Every toy in the living room is in pieces on the floor. The bathroom is a mess. It happened so fast, I just can't. Sounds like they've got quite the business plan. The minion's job is to wreak havoc in your house, so you have no choice but to hire them to clean it up. Am I the jerk for asking for time away from my wife? I'm 28, male. My wife is 24. She has a very strong bond with her family. Last month, both of her parents moved to live with her brothers in Australia, and she's been feeling very down since then. I'm definitely at fault for not making enough time for her these past few weeks due to excessive workload at my new job. This all led to constant arguments initiated by her. It started to get really suffocating and frustrating for both of us, so I asked her if, for a few days, she can go live at her parents' house that they left in her care. She did not say anything, but packed her stuff and left in the morning. I only wanted her to have some time alone to clear her head. I assumed she needs space and called to ask her if she reached there safe and needs groceries since it's been a month that house has been empty. She didn't answer my calls, but sent a text later to inform me that she's there. I thought she really wants to spend this time alone, so I decided not to bother her because she's an introvert who often needs her personal space. We talked very briefly over messages a few times after that. On Tuesday, I took a day off of work to go see her since it's been over a week, and she didn't return or even call. I found out that she's been sick for days and is on leave from work. When I asked her why she didn't inform me, she said she did not want to bother me. I took her to see a doctor, and turns out she has jaundice and is 4 weeks pregnant. Now she's back home. I've apologized, but she's unusually reserved, and I feel like I'm the reason. My intention was only to give her space and have some time alone for myself. I really love her and never intended to hurt her at all. Am I the jerk? So let me get this straight. 1. Your wife expressed that you had been ignoring her. 2. Your response to this was to send her away to live in an empty house by herself. 3. You ignored her all week. 4. And you justify this by saying she needs space? You were doing this for her? No, you wanted space, and you're so immature and messed up that you can't even admit it to yourself. Your selfish behavior here has made your wife feel awful, humiliated, and disrespected. Not to mention, you could have put her in danger because she was sick and pregnant. You are a completely self-absorbed jerk, and it doesn't seem like you respect her or care about what she wants at all. You're the jerk. I feel bad for your wife that she's stuck having a kid with you. Your wife was depressed because her parents moved. You didn't make time to help her because of work. You were fighting a lot, and how you found time to fight when you had no time to be loving and supportive is beyond me, so you kicked her out to go live in an empty house. How you could have written all of this out without realizing you're the jerk is amazing. Holy cow, you're the jerk. This woman is going to be the mother of your baby, and your answer to being in conflict with her was to ask her to leave? Don't do this again. Next time, she might not come back. She'd be better off not coming back. Not the jerk. Let's see. So the husband is working long hours at work in order to provide for his family. His wife is acting like a needy baby because her parents moved. You're refusing to coddle her, so now Reddit thinks you're the bad guy? Honestly, she sounds like she has issues. No wonder everyone here is defending her. About 99% of the people on this site have issues themselves, to be honest. If I were you, I'd be getting a divorce. Find someone who actually appreciates the fact that you work long hours to keep a roof over their head and who doesn't need to be coddled because her mommy and dada moved. Can you imagine if the roles were flipped? My husband is sad because his mommy and daddy moved, and I've been working long hours to provide for him, so I haven't been constantly available as his emotional sponge. I asked him for some time apart and if he could go stay in his parents' vacant house. Am I the jerk? Everybody would be telling her to leave you. Am I the jerk for asking my ex if our son, who's 11, could bring his stepbrother, who's also 11, on their father-son camping trip? My ex and I got a divorce when our son was 6. When he was 8, I started dating my current husband. On the day my son met his stepbrother, they stood in front of each other, sized each other up the way that boys do, and were silent for a moment. Then my son asked, "Do you want to play Super Smash Brothers?" And his stepbrother said yes, and they ran upstairs. It was fraternal love at first sight. They've been attached to the hip ever since. My stepson's mother passed a few years ago, and my husband was actually hesitant to introduce me and my son to his 2 kids because he thought it was too soon. It turns out that everything worked great. The first year we were all together, my stepson asked if my son could come along when they visited their mother at the cemetery on her birthday, and he spent the whole car ride over telling my son all about her, and it seemed therapeutic for him. Later that night, I checked in and saw that my son had climbed up to the top bunk and they had fallen asleep curled up together. Before she entered her current 7 going on 17 phase, my stepdaughter used to crawl into my son's lap as often as she did my stepson and ask them to read to her. Since the divorce, my ex-husband has been unreliable at best. He cancels on my son regularly, making some excuses about work and what have you. The twice-monthly weekends together have trailed off to 3 or 4 times a year. Every time I have to tell my son his father canceled, my stepson goes to his father and asks if the 3 of them can do something together. One of the few things my ex-husband likes enough to always follow through with is camping. He's planning on taking my son camping in a few weeks, the weekend after Father's Day weekend. My son loves camping as well, and he's the one who convinced my stepson to join Boy Scouts next fall. The thing is, this year he wants to bring his stepbrother along. I told my ex-husband this and he got upset, saying that it's their time together and he doesn't want someone else's kid going along with them. He says that it's supposed to be the 2 of them bonding. I told him he's had plenty of chances to bond that he blew off for one reason or another, and that he should consider himself lucky that he has such a compassionate and sensitive son and that our son still wants anything to do with him. He hung up in a huff. His mother called yesterday to complain that I was expecting my ex to just sit there while my son and stepson went off on their own and ignored my ex completely, and said that I need to look at it from his perspective since he only gets to see our son a few times a year. For obvious reasons, this annoyed me to the point where I hung up. My husband said that he gets it and thinks I should just let it be the 2 of them. Am I the jerk? 99.9% your ex is clearly the jerk, but it's reasonable for him to not want to take the stepson camping. You're the jerk if you try to push this. Making a plan for the boys to go camping with OP's husband is the way to go. Even if neglectful dad has refused the stepson and dips out on his own son, both boys will still have another adventure to look forward to that will actually happen. Win-win. You're the jerk. You asked, he answered. The answer was no. You didn't need to keep going. She didn't really keep going. She advocated for her son and then got harassed by his mother. The ex also did not appear to be stepping up to tell the son that the stepson couldn't come. It appeared that the ex and the ex-mother-in-law wanted the mother to do it. None of this is her problem. She relayed her son's request. Her work is done. Her only response going forward should be, ask your father. She is not the jerk. You're the jerk. I'm with your husband on this one. The dynamic of the trip changes completely with another kid going along. Your ex goes from dad being fully engaged and participating with his own son to referee/fire starter/tent maker. Am I missing something? It seems pretty clear here that your son is the one that expressed interest in bringing his stepbrother along. Your son is pretty lucky to have meshed so well into a blended family. All you're doing is asking your ex if your stepson can come too. Ex is allowed to say no. You're allowed to try to change his mind. But your husband is right. You should not be pushy about this. I get you hold a lot of resentment against your ex, but you must have made your ex feel pretty guilty for him to go crying to his mom. I haven't gathered enough from posts to indicate that you are actually being pushy yet, so I'll just say no jerks here for now. I don't think you're missing anything. All the "you're the jerk" votes seem to have poor reading comprehension. I don't even see how she tried to change his mind. She stated some basic truths, and the ex got huffy and hung up and went crying to his mommy, who then called to go off on OP. The "am I the jerk" question is about asking her ex. For that, I would vote not the jerk. Did she actually refuse to accept a no or refuse to tolerate BS from ex and ex-mother-in-law? I'd be annoyed too. He's been neglecting his son so much and then getting upset about this of all things. His attitude could be improved in my opinion. I do agree with OP. Her son seems to be way more understanding and forgiving than his dad. And not to be rude, but probably more emotionally mature too. Am I the jerk for not paying my boyfriend's child support? My boyfriend and I have been together for 4 years now. He moved in with me around the year mark, and during this time, he has not held a stable job due to health concerns and being in and out of the hospital. But he is working now and has been for a while. Between the both of us, we have 4 kids, his 2 and my 2. His ex-wife is constantly saying how her kids are my responsibility too, even when they aren't at my house, and that if my boyfriend cannot make his child support payment or pay for after-school care, or if her kids need something, that I should step up to do it. Child support is set up to come out of his checks. But I won't. It's been nothing but a battle with her. She's constantly tearing me down and saying that I'm not a parent to her kids and shouldn't even try. that it doesn't matter unless my boyfriend and I get married. She has and still does talk crap about me to my boyfriend's family. It's not been civil, and I have done nothing but try. Mind you, I have 2 kids of my own. I pay for everything in my home, including anything and everything his kids need while here, not to mention the gas for him to get his kids to and from during his time. I make sure that all kids have everything they need here, even when it comes to holidays. I buy the same for his as I do mine. I make sure his 2 are included in everything that we do, because we do it as a family. I love those kids as my own, but I cannot afford to pay 2 households worth of stuff. But in the end, it doesn't matter. She goes off on me for not stepping up and paying her child support or not asking if there's anything they need for her house. Am I the jerk for not paying his child support to their mother? I feel like you are in a pattern of getting with men that do not care for their own kids properly. Not the jerk. Your boyfriend sucks for not paying child support or buying things for his kids, but it's not your responsibility. 5 years from now, she's going to have 1 or 2 of his babies too and be complaining about how he never pays his child support. Info: why are you with someone who can't afford or refuses to pay their child support? Everyone sucks here. Why are you in this situation? You have 2 kids to support with little help from their dad, so you move in this guy who has 2 kids too? Now what resources you have to be split even more. You kind of suck here. We get you want to be loved, but how little does your kids have to receive so you can enjoy whatever this man brings to you? You already know that you don't have to pay this woman anything. You're just here ranting that she's a jerk who badmouths you. So what? Why are you even talking to her? Block her number and send this dude back to his mother until he can hold down a job, pay his bills, and have something sustainable to offer to you and your kids. What does he bring to the table other than his needs? You're the jerk. Situations like this really drive me up the wall. Why do they always choose to be with guys like this, who have kids and refuse to provide for them? I'll tell you why. Because those guys are 6 feet tall, have good facial genetics, muscles, and are overly confident. Then you have guys like me, very average looking, good job, master's degree, not super confident, and not even one woman will swipe right on me. Then the women I do manage to meet through mutual friends always tell me that they like me as a friend and don't really want to try dating me, but they're fine going out to eat with me as long as I pay for it as usual. Then you hear about couples like this and I just don't get it. Like, maybe the hot guy with 2 kids he doesn't provide for and who doesn't have a job won't make the best partner for you. Maybe give the normal-looking guy who has his own house, makes $80,000 a year, and has no kids yet a chance. Edit. Call me all the names you want. Nothing that I've said here is untrue. We live in an age where pointing out the obvious results in people calling you names and belittling you. No wonder you're all picking the wrong guys. You people have no common sense. Am I the jerk for losing my temper at someone who rear-ended my car? Earlier today, I was driving to work at my internship job. The car behind me was driving dangerously close to me the whole time. Then, as I stopped at a red light, the girl driving behind me tried to do a full lane change at the very last second and hit the back corner of my car just as she was turning in. I signaled to her to stop over on the side street parking ahead and proceeded to have the most frustrating interaction I've ever had with a stranger. She refused to apologize or take any responsibility. I don't think I've ever dealt with such an entitled and stuck-up jerk in my entire life. I genuinely tried my hardest to stay calm when I first approached her, but I very quickly lost my patience in less than 10 seconds of interacting with her. Me. What are your insurance details? Her. I don't know them, bro. Me. Who manages your insurance then? Your parents? Her. Maybe. I don't know. Is this a police interview? Me. Can you stop messing around and just find out what your insurance details are? Her, smirking. Why are you crying about it? My car's messed up too, and you don't hear me complaining. Me. Are you dumb? Was I the one who rear-ended you, or did you crash into me? This mess happened because your brain is too small to learn how to steer a car properly. Her. Don't call me dumb. Watch your tone when you speak to me. Me. Forget you. I'll talk to you however I want. If you're not going to give me your insurance details, then I'm just going to take a photo of your number plate. Her. Whatever. I'm done talking to you. I don't talk to short men. At this point, I knew the conversation wasn't going anywhere, so I took a photo of her car's plate and we both drove off. Personally, I think my anger was completely justified. I've never dealt with someone so exhausting. Not the jerk. I think you should have stayed at the scene to call the police though. Now she can claim that there was some mutual agreement reached, when, in fact, she fled the scene. Also, I hope you have uninsured motorist coverage, because I seriously doubt she doesn't know her coverage. She was probably either an unauthorized user or didn't have any. If she refused to provide her car information as required by law, they can still call the police and report it. I had to call the police on the guy who rear-ended me and refused to provide his insurance, and they ticketed him for it. You're the jerk. She was probably just scared out of her mind. I'm a younger driver too, 21, female, and to be honest, we just don't waste time on the road. You consider her driving to be erratical, but chances are she was just driving the way normal younger drivers do. Then you made her pull over, got out of your car, and demanded her details without even introducing yourself? Then you're surprised she doesn't have a customer service attitude with you? I would have called the cops on you if I had been her. You sound like you have serious anger issues, and taking out your road rage like this is gonna wind up with you behind bars. My pregnant sister expects me to support her family financially. My sister got pregnant with her boyfriend right out of high school, got married the next year, then proceeded to pop out another baby every year or two, so she now has 4 kids and she's 24 years old. She's a stay-at-home mom, even though she was brilliant and could have gotten a free ride to a great university. Since hers are the only grandkids, our parents fawn over her constantly. They gush over every new tooth or haircut like it's some sort of huge achievement. Problem is, her husband's business wasn't doing great even before lockdown and is barely limping along now. Sister doesn't work and my parents have limited income. So guess who constantly gets told to lend money to them for crap like school fees, car seats, car payments, new strollers, etc. They don't even ask. My mom just texts me, "Your sister needs money for the kids," and I'm supposed to cough it up. If I complain, they accuse me of being jealous because I don't have a husband and family, even though I'm older. I'm only 26. So over Easter, I notice my sister isn't drinking, and I think, oh no, here we go again. Sure enough, she stands up and announces that she's having yet another precious miracle. Everyone's gushing, and I just try to stay quiet and out of the way. Later, she asks me if everything is all right, and I try to play it off, but she pushes. So I asked her if she and her husband could really afford another baby. Very snippily, she replies, "God will provide like he has so far," which really ticked me off. I yelled that, no, actually, God didn't provide for her babies. I did, and I wasn't going to be giving them any more handouts. It devolved into a huge argument, and everyone shouted at me. And basically, I've been banned from my family unless I apologize. I haven't apologized. It's been a radio silence, except for one text from my mom saying that if my sister has issues with her pregnancy, then it's my fault for stressing her out. I asked if my sister was showing any symptoms, but no one will answer me or tell me. I don't know. I don't think I'm the jerk, but I don't want to be the reason that she has pregnancy issues. Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video. Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.